when they remember us. Us. When those who will live and move in this place, once we are gone, remember us, what light will they say that we shined into the world? What flicker of hope do we cast every single time that we gather on this eve of Indigenous Peoples Day in the very middle of just about everything? May this flame burn with memory, commitment, and possibility for all that we were, for all that we are, for all that we are becoming.
Good morning and welcome to the River Road Unitarian Universalist Congregation. Welcome to all those joining us here live in the sanctuary and to all of those joining us online via our YouTube live stream. We are so happy to have you here, however you are able to join. My name is Kirsten Lodel, and I am honored to be serving as your intern minister this year under the wise guidance of Reverends Nancy and Amanda. And we want to extend a particularly warm welcome to anyone who is new to River Road today, as well as to anyone who might be feeling new, maybe just reconnecting with the congregation as we bit by bit emerge from this pandemic time. We encourage you to reach out to our Connections team so that they may warmly greet you at connections@rruuc.org. Again, please email connections@rruuc.org so that we may plug you into our congregational life. We now turn to the portion of our service that we are calling Prophetic Voices, acknowledging that as Unitarian Universalists, we draw wisdom with great respect and reverence from many traditions across time and across the globe. As Nancy referenced, today marks the eve of a national holiday that we in this community, and increasingly those in other communities, are calling Indigenous Peoples Day. We want to acknowledge right here at the beginning of the service that for those of us who are privileged to live in this country, and those of us who call ourselves Americans, every day is rightfully Indigenous Peoples Day. Every day is rightfully Indigenous Peoples Day. And we recognize that as a country and even as a congregation, we are just beginning the process of reckoning with a history of gruesome genocide and cultural erasure that was massively advanced by the decrees and commercial aims of none other than Christopher Columbus, the person for whom tomorrow's holiday once was named. Today's service will highlight a few of the many ways that we here at River Road are working to advance our truth, reconciliation, and repair efforts in line with our adoption of the 8th principle of Unitarian Universalism. And one of our 8th principle commitments is to make more space in our weekly worship to learn from and be shaped by a greater diversity of voices. Today's Prophetic Voices lesson is a Navajo prayer set to music with great care by Cliff Hardin, our beloved director of music here at River Road. I'd now like to invite Cliff up to the pulpit to tell you more about the anthem, "With Beauty I Walk."
With beauty before me, I walk. With beauty behind me, I walk. With beauty above me, I walk. With beauty around me, I walk. It has become beauty again. These are the opening phrases of a well-known Navajo prayer that Kirsten just mentioned. It is beautiful. And some version of this prayer has been set to music many times by musicians of Western European descent in the past 50 years. Now, I find that I am one of those Western European descendants having done the very same thing. Setting this prayer to music has raised many questions and concerns, both by myself, our ministers, and others. Do I have the right to do that? Especially considering that so much has been taken from the ancestors of the indigenous people of this land by my Western European ancestors. Am I honoring the Navajo tradition, or am I misappropriating from the Navajo tradition? After some discernment, I am believing that I am indeed honoring the Navajo tradition with this piece, and perhaps just starting to ask these kinds of basic questions is a first step to becoming more aware of the truth of all our relations, past and present. I believe that the English translation I picked to set to music is the most accurate of all that I could find. That is because the syntax, or the ordering of the words, of the English word seems to be closely matching those of the Navajo. Obviously, as you might guess, I don't speak Navajo, but it was clear that the repeated words that must be for I walk always followed the words that were different. Note that the translation of the opening line is not I walk with beauty before me, but with beauty before me I walk. The syntax of most of the phrases follows this pattern of the very first line. It reads as if the person is not praying is not the center of everything, but with a grateful heart, a part of everything. It is my understanding that this decentering of the self and the connecting with all that is with a grateful heart is a common outlook of the spiritual life of many indigenous people of this country. Now I would like to read to you the translation of the parts of the whole prayer that are in the choral piece you're about to hear. With beauty before me, I walk. With beauty behind me, I walk. With beauty above me, I walk. With beauty around me, I walk. It has become beauty again. In beauty all day long, may I walk. Through returning seasons, may I walk. On the trail marked with pollen, may I walk. With dew about my feet, may I walk. In old age, wandering on a trail of beauty, lively may I walk. In old age, wandering on a trail of beauty, living again, may I walk. With beauty before me, I walk. With beauty behind me, I walk. With beauty above me, I walk. With beauty around me, I walk. It has become beauty again. Now, please enjoy the recording of this piece our wonderful choir made just this last Thursday evening.
October's monthly theme in worship, and both in family ministry and learning, is cultivating relationship. And when we think about this place that we are moving into as a congregation and as a community, we are centering relationship at the heart of this work that we're doing. As we may remember, this past summer was spent exploring how it is we might live into our commitments, both our racial justice commitments, as well as the commitments that have unearthed themselves as we have dug into our land's history. And it is quite an undertaking to do such a thing, because to dig into history, to dig into our legacy, gives us an opportunity to renew commitments and to move even deeper into that truth. As we prepare to embark on this journey, with so many of us rolling up our sleeves, researching, digging in, and figuring out how that it is we honor this legacy. We do this starting today with our land acknowledgement. A land acknowledgement is a statement telling the truth about the land our building is on, the region in which we are. When we gather here to worship and learn and connect, when we gather here as a community, we do not do it separate from history. This land acknowledgement is the labor of so many collectively in this community, and this land acknowledgement is also not something that is static, not something that is frozen in time, but much like we are, much like history. It grows, and it shapes, and it weaves, and it evolves. You might also notice as you walk into the atrium, as you walk into this building, in our lounge area, there is an altar set up that we just lit the candles for just this morning. And at this place in time, in this moment of time, it is set simply with candles and a tablecloth. Our hope is to tend to that altar each time that we're in this space, each time that we gather for worship, as a way to ritualize our commitment. And as we go through this process, as we learn more about the history of our land and about the history of this community, the hope is that we all tend to this altar, that we allow to build it together, that we allow it to grow. And every Sunday, you are encouraged to interact with this altar that is right there by lighting candles, by placing objects on it, whatever calls to you, as a way that we collectively honor our legacy. And it's the same with this statement. As we move deeper into this work, this statement of land acknowledgement will evolve as it involves all of our work. Our land acknowledgement statement is as follows: acknowledging and remembering that we are situated on the traditional land of the Nutchtank and Piscataway people, and on the land in which enslaved African people and their descendants labored, we gather together in worship. May the words of our mouths, the meditations of our heart, and the actions of our hand point the way towards a more just future. May the memory of those whose love and labor went before us inspire us to create a path of greater joy and justice for all who follow. May we do this work together in our community. May we acknowledge our history as we move deeper into our truth. And may we do this together knowing that this acknowledgement is actually a commitment and is a promise we make to ourselves and to each other. May it be so.
Every Sunday, we light candles for the joys and the sorrows, the laughter and the tears that we carry with us into and out of this sacred space. And every Sunday, we grapple, indeed, with the actions of our hands and the meditations of our hearts and the very best words we can muster. We grapple to make meaning of it all, including our deep sorrow and our deep rejoicing. This weekend, our hearts pull back and forth into the depth that it takes to honor the indigenous peoples of this land, and our hearts pull outward in the forthright hope and celebration that comes with National Coming Out Day tomorrow, when our prayer is simply that every single one of us has the freedom to be our full selves out loud in this world, with enough love and support and humanity to go around, and a bit to spare for those we do not yet love, and those for whom the love and acceptance of a community and a family has not yet landed on their hearts. We also continue to move with the ongoing heartbreaks of every single news cycle, no less real for their constancy. We hold especially yet more victims of violence in sacred spaces after worshipers were attacked during Friday prayers in Kunduz, Afghanistan. For all those seeking freedom to be whole, for all those seeking the safety to carry on, for all those eager simply to celebrate who they are, we honor, we recommit, and we continue.
I now invite each of us into a time and a place of stillness, of meditation, of prayer. Perhaps rooting yourself to your spot, settling in to where you are, lowering your gaze or closing your eyes, rooting to this moment, gathering together in this space and in this time. Together as a people, we move into truth. We move into beauty. We move into stillness. We move into action. As a people, we move with sorrow. We move with pain. We move with a deep knowing that even as we do our work in this world, even as we do our work in this congregation, that the world around us is in such a tension. We come into this space with those same tensions in our hearts, those same pushes and pulls, those same places of rupture, those same needs for repair. We know we are not separate from this world. And when we come into this space, when we gather into this space near and far, we know that our hearts are not separate from who we are. We don't come to this space to be perfect or to have it figured out. We come to gather together with people, with love, with connection, as we journey this path together. As we learn what it means to cultivate relationship in our own hearts and in our own lives and in our own communities. We call upon the Spirit of life to blanket us, to hold us in that love. We call around the Spirit of connection, the Spirit of love, the Spirit of truth to root us. We need not have it all figured out. We need not have all the answers. But when we come to this space, when we create this space in our hearts of community, we expand what's possible. We expand what we are capable of. What a powerful blessing it is this morning. What a powerful lesson it is. We lift up our hearts to those who are struggling with isolation, who are struggling with belonging, with finding their place. Our hearts are lifted up to those who are struggling through illness, through struggles that nobody sees, those who are not here with us. May we work to create a world where we each get a piece of belonging. May we create that beauty for other people. And when we can't, may we let other people create it for us. May we move into these moments that stillness and that knowing, with open hearts, with expanded hearts, for all that we hold together. May it always be so. Blessed be. The ways in which we cultivate relationship here at River Road is through the generous practice of giving. There are so many reasons why we give on a weekly basis. We give of our hearts, we give of our talent, we give of our treasure. In so many ways, what we give builds this community. To learn more about how we give and why we give, you can go on our website at rruuc.org/giving. On that giving page, you'll learn more about where each of our giving goes in this congregation, and of course the ways that we expand through how we give and what we build here. Gone are the days of passing the basket around, of course, so instead we give online. We can also text to give. The text to give number, which should be rolling across your screen during the music, is 73256. That's 73256, and be sure to add RRUUC and also the amount that you would like to give. You can also give directly online on our website. However you give and whenever you give, what we give builds this community. Person by person, ministry by ministry, community by community. As the music plays, please give as you're willing and able.
Thank you for that music and for bringing that beautiful Navajo prayer to life in today's prophetic voices. I want to now bring another prophetic Indigenous voice into today's service, and it's a contemporary one, that of Robin Wall Kimmerer, a scientist, a botanist to be specific, a member of the Citizen Potawatomi Nation of Oklahoma, the writer of many books, including The Extraordinary Braiding Sweetgrass, and a true sage amongst us. The central question that animates Kimmerer's work is this: how are we called to live when we recognize that we are living in a world of gifts? Here we are, surrounded by the bounty of this life on this planet. The air we breathe, the water we drink and bathe in, the food we eat, the birds, trees, flowers, sunrises, and sunsets that bring the sounds, the smells, the colors, the very art of life to us. This is bounty that we didn't create. We didn't earn it. Who knows if we deserve it? But here we are, enriched by the bounty every precious day. We are not entitled to this. It just is. So how then are we called to live when we recognize that we are living in this world of gifts? Robin Wall Kimmerer's answer is as simple as it is profound, and it is gratitude. We are called to live in gratitude. As Reverend Amanda mentioned, our worship theme this month is cultivating relationship. And today I'd like to explore the ongoing cultivation of our relationship with this place right here, the River Road Unitarian Universalist congregation. I think that Kimmerer's conception of a call to live in gratitude might have a lot to offer us as we reflect on this. If we accept Kimmerer's assertion that we are indeed living in a world of gifts, then how do we live in relationship to the gift of this place? This is a practical, moral, and ethical question, and it is a spiritual question, for physical places are spiritual places. And while our amazing staff and volunteers, especially our tech team up there, have moved mountains to deliver services and programming online throughout this pandemic, the fact is that this place, this land, is River Road's spiritual home. Coming in recently as a newcomer with fresh eyes, I have been so captivated by the beauty of this place, both of the buildings and of the surrounding grounds. A few Sundays ago, I had the privilege of serving as a greeter during what was only our second Sunday of in-person services and our first Sunday of in-person RE, or religious education. And don't tell Nancy, but I snuck out in the middle of the first service just to take in the place and walk around. I encountered our littlest community members in tents, involved in deeply intentionally crafted play. I encountered our middle schoolers deep in conversation out in our worship circle in the woods. I encountered congregants meditating in our memorial garden. I could hear the sound of the music pouring out of these open doors from the sanctuary, the same open doors that bring in this calming and cleansing breeze to those of us inside. Here inside, I have been overtaken by the smell of this place. There is some magical, musty, wooden smell that is the smell of my West Texan maternal grandparents, my spiritual forebearers, and the people who introduced me to experiencing the divine as a child. And while I may not have adopted their theology, they are the reason that I love congregational life. So I've been overtaken by all these sense memories and a feeling in my bones that this place, this land, this community is sacred. This place is vibrating with spirit. I have also come to understand that there is more to this land than the overwhelming beauty that has swept me up since my arrival. For we now know, thanks to the painstaking work of congregants, including Joe Salunas and Joan Zenzen, that this land was long owned by a family of slaveholders. And we have credible evidence to indicate that slaves, ranging in age from 1 year old to 80 years old, labored on this land under the ownership of Allison Naylor Sr. If you haven't yet watched Reverend Nancy's June 13th service from this past summer that explores these findings in some depth, I highly recommend that you do so. There is so much that we do not yet know about the history of slavery on this land and throughout the entire River Road corridor. And there is so much that we may never know about the inhabitants of this land before it was settled by slaveholders. But we do know that this region was home to a large, vibrant, and ultimately exterminated set of communities inhabited by the Nacotchtank and Piscataway people. All this history, all these bodies and cultures and traditions and crimes, known and unknown, all of this is also part of the spirit of this place. How does this awareness impact our relationship to the gift of this place? Because surely it does. However this awareness makes us feel, it makes us feel something. Whether we feel shame or guilt or a renewed sense of purpose, a heightened commitment to justice, or just fatigued by the heaviness of it all, maybe even frustrated that this encroaches on our time and space for spiritual succor and comfort, or some combination of all this. There is no right or wrong way to feel. We just have to be honest about the fact that waking up to a more complete story of our history changes us. So what might Robin Wall Kimmerer's conception of a call to live in gratitude offer us as we consider our relationship to the gift of this place and all that this place represents? I'll read you her words on this. Quote, "We must give the kind of radical gratitude that reshapes how we live in the world. We must give the kind of radical gratitude that reshapes how we live in the world." A radical gratitude. This is not some send flowers and a card and cross it off the to-do list gratitude. It is not even gratitude manifested in deep historical research, the crafting of a land acknowledgement, and the creation of an altar, even though those are unequivocally steps in the right direction. This is a brave gratitude. This is a risky gratitude. A radical gratitude that reshapes how we live in the world. This latter part means that we have to be open to being reshaped and changed, no matter our age or stage of life. And there is a little word at the beginning of this statement that contains multitudes. Give. We must give gratitude. We receive a gift, therefore we give something back. According to Kimmerer, reciprocity is at the center of the Indigenous worldview. And it is this very reciprocity that was perversely twisted into the derogatory term Indian giver by early colonizers in the Americas. The slur of the Indian giver came out of the clashing of an indigenous culture operating in a gift economy and a colonial culture predicated on the concept of private property. A colonial culture of taking, declaring ownership, privatizing, and commodifying. As Kimmerer says, quote, "From the viewpoint of a private property economy, the gift is deemed to be free because we obtain it free of charge at no cost. But in the gift economy, gifts are not free. The essence of the gift is that it creates a set of relationships. The currency of a gift economy is at its root reciprocity. In colonial thinking, private land is understood to be a bundle of rights, whereas in a gift economy, property has a bundle of responsibilities attached to it. The gift creates a set of relationships. The currency is reciprocity. Property has a bundle of responsibilities attached to it. To illustrate what she means by responsibility, Kimmerer draws on the Haudenosaunee, or Iroquois, 7th generation principle. In receiving the gifts of a place, our responsibility in turn is to give back as much as it takes so that not just the next generation or the next generation, but so that 7 generations hence, our great-great-great-great-great-grandchildren may equally benefit from the gifts. So we must always look forward. And critically, we must always look back, knowing we exist because of the grateful generosity of those who came 7 generations prior. Our ancestors are always with us. For us here at River Road, what would it look like to honor all this place's ancestors and to carry them forward with us? All of this place's ancestors, including the slaves who labored here 7 generations ago and their descendants, as well as our indigenous ancestors. What if we chose to fully embrace every aspect of our complicated legacy, recognized ourselves in it, and then included the ancestors of those who are in this land right here in our present day sacred circle? How might we then organize our thinking, our actions, and our commitment to repair so that they remain part of this community, not tomorrow, not next year, but 7 generations hence and beyond? Might this taking of responsibility be our act of radical gratitude for the gift of our relationship to this place? May it be so, and amen.
You know, I say every Sunday that what we do together here at River Road is really just an expression of how we want to be together. And there are so many ways to connect to the life of the congregation in all that we do, in the great hope that we might inculcate in ourselves a capacity to be radically grateful and a spirit of reciprocity. You're invited to find out more about our programmings in our e-weekly. You can also contact the office anytime. There are just a couple I want to highlight for you, particularly that our partner church celebration is coming up on October 16th. It is in the evening. It is all online, so COVID safety is taken care of. We need you to sign up now to be a part of that spectacular celebration, also because of the deep gift and reciprocity of our partnerships across the globe. The gifts that we share go to pay for teachers supporting our Indian partners in Moblong in India. It also supports after-school programming for the most underprivileged children among our Transylvanian, Romanian brethren in Fiat Falva. Everything we do makes a difference. It's also a great lot of fun besides, so we hope you'll register now for PartnerFest. Also today, after this service, you're invited to save the dates for our fall auction, which will have bidding from October 1st through the 13th, and you can join today at 1 or 7:30 tomorrow night for some deep reflection, visit, and visioning for what our all-congregation retreat might look like both this spring and onward into the future. You can check the e-weekly for more information about how to also enroll in any of our small groups, which take this larger connection that we have online or in person on Sunday morning and dive it down into a deeper connection among a smaller group of people committed to moving as one through our continued formation of our spiritual themes. And finally, and most importantly, I do not think you can end a service about radical gratitude without radical gratitude for what it takes to bring us together on Sunday morning. Of course, the amazing gift of Kirsten Lodel, our wonderful intern minister, preaching her first sermon with heart, grace, skill, all the things. Kirsten, we are so blessed by your presence. We're also grateful that Kirsten's family, Jeff, her husband, and her 3 girls are here with us. It is so great to greet you, and we hope we greeted you warmly and not too warmly enough to freak you out. It is a great gift. We're grateful always for our tech crew, for Danny, for Marcia and Dave, for Cliff, sharing the skill of his composition and also his deep intentionality, for Josh and Reverend Karin greeting out front, for Natalie back home working the Zoom room, for every single one of us who puts in the love it takes to bring us together in community. We are indeed well and truly grateful.
Now, if you'll join me in closing. After my first Sunday here at River Road in mid-August, I walked out of the sanctuary, stood on the grass, and just took it all in. I gazed about me, and my eyes settled through the window of what I have come to learn is our Spirit Play, religious education classroom for our preschoolers, on a blessing posted on the wall. I now want to offer this blessing to you as part of my radical gratitude for your warm welcome of me and of my family and the gift of this place. While we can't hold hands yet, I invite you to extend your hands in a gesture of giving and receiving connection. We are blessed. We are blessed by being. We are blessed by being here. We are blessed by being here together. May your week be full of an awareness and appreciation of the beautiful bounty of this life. May it be so, and amen.